Bert, I'm so glad to have you here today because we are celebrating Black Excellence.
Hey,
It's February, Black History Month.
that's right.
And that's why I'm honored to have you as my guest. And we're here to talk about you. So I met you teaching you listening just a couple weeks ago. And I enjoyed the little bit of story that I heard. And so I really want you to expand and then talk about what you got going on. So go ahead.
Well, thank you first off, Melida, for having me.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to be on your new venture here, this podcast. And speaking of new ventures, I'm on a new venture myself, as you mentioned. We met at AC or ACTI.
Yeah.
And so I'm launching a new business where I'll be doing family-friendly programming. What we've done is, so my wife and I, we've worked, or I should say volunteered.
Yeah.
We volunteered within the community quite a bit for organizations like JANA, MBCC, the Ghana Friendship Association,
Wow.
and so on. And through that process of being their youth coordinators, we have developed programs that catered very well to young people and got them engaged, and they really enjoyed it. A lot of it had to do, well, the most recent programming we did with the Ghana Association was around drumming and dance, and also games, as well as storytelling.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, and a lot of fun. So
Yeah.
what we've decided to do was to take some of the programming that we've created and put it into a package called the Sanctify series that we want to offer to festivals and community leagues, anybody who needs family-friendly programming with a bit of a cultural lens.
Oh, nice.
Myself being Caribbean
Yeah.
and my wife being West African. So the idea, Sanctify, is one of the Adinkra symbols from the West African, from Ghana.
Yeah.
And it's like a duck and it reaches back. But the meaning is that you reach back and retrieve.
Oh.
Right? So the idea is we're reaching back into our history and our culture.
Yeah.
And we're using the things we've learned from that to kind of mentor and educate kids and have some fun.
Yeah.
Our mothers taught us a lot of fun games.
Okay.
So we play entree tray and these different African games that they used to play when they were kids.
Oh, wow.
And it's funny because it's so interesting. They grew up in a time without technology, right?
Right.
So this is when kids, and actually I've come to learn as a Gen Xer, I'm probably going to die as one of the last people on earth who's grown up at a time without technology. So we would, they would get together outside, and it's a time when kids had more imagination and had to kind of come up with things to entertain themselves, right?
Oh my God.
But we looked at some of the games that our parents used to play, and then we look at the games that are here in Western culture.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how canny some of them are very similar.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of a good example.
Yeah.
So entree tray is one of the games where you sit in a circle.
Okay.
And you put this you walk around the circle. One of the kids walks around the circle with a ball.
Okay.
And they put the ball behind another kid, and then that kid has to get up and run around, and they both have to get to the spot before before the one who put the ball down.
Yeah.
And if you don't make it, then you're the next person to walk around.
Right.
And throughout the course of it, there's a chant, entree tray.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, beady ba. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Oh, be whoa. Yeah. And so you keep singing that. And the song, the whole idea is that, like, the meaning of the words is that somebody's kid is about to die.
Oh,
Yeah. So it's kind of
that's
crazy.
interesting.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? But it at the end of the day, it's Duck Duck Goose, right? It's very similar to Duck Duck Goose.
Yeah.
And so the idea is that you have to look straight if you're sitting in the circle. You're not allowed to watch the person as they go around because when they put that thing down, if you see it, then it's kind of like cheating. So the idea is to be aware, use your peripherals, or else somebody's child is about to die.
It's like you're activating their sensory skills,
That's the idea, right?
Wow.
So with the programs that we do, and I'm glad you actually mentioned sensory and stuff like that, we do a lot of call and response. And the goal is to kind of develop teamwork through the play, but also self-regulation.
Oh, okay.
Like a lot of youth, these days it's just very hard for them to control their emotions or, their responses to things.
That's a good point.
Especially the alpha generation.
Yep.
If they don't get something, it's the whole immediate gratification.
Right.
So we do call and response. A good example would be when we yell "ago," the children are supposed to yell "ame," right? So we stand in the middle of the room, "ago," "ame," and they know that that's to settle yourself. We're about to move into the next lesson or the next stage, right?
Wow.
And I'd like to incorporate some breath exercise as well.
Oh, good.
Into the programming.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at how to work that in. But yeah, really, I just want the kids to have a chance and also to learn a little bit of stuff from the African culture and from a culture that I never really knew myself because I'm a second generation immigrant here to Canada, again, being Caribbean. And so, so it's just really nice to try and find your place growing up and you try and understand your culture. It's nice to know that there's programs and people out there that can kind of help coach you through it, right?
Wow, when I was just everything that you're talking about really resonated with me because, we talk about the generation, right? Where it's all tech, right? Yeah. And going back to those roots, that can it doesn't have to be that the African culture. You can take those activities and the programs to worldwide.
Agreed.
Right? Yeah. That is so amazing.
I fully agree.
I almost felt like, oh my God, they should put this in the classes. Take those computers away.
Classrooms are another place that we are more than willing to take our programming into, right? Yeah.
Seriously. Oh my God, resonating with me. This is so awesome. So we're talking about you and your wife doing this programming. And what's the plan of getting this, launched
up and running? So right now, as you know, I'm working on the business plan and the registration and the process of actually making sure we have a good foundation for our business and that it operates properly. But in a lot of ways, we've already started. Yeah. I've tried to book a few festivals right now. Yeah. I don't want to say anything. I was gonna announce them, but there's still like some paperwork that needs to be signed.
Stay tuned, everybody.
Yes, exactly. So more or less everything is going already. We're in the process. Awesome. The programs exist. It's just a matter of getting the bookings and making ourselves more exposure and more out there, right? So people know that we offer this service. So just if I can offer a little more background about myself.
Absolutely.
So I was with a group, or I guess I am. We're just not as active as we once were, named Politic Live. Oh. And we've done a lot of hip hop in the city here, as well as I've worked and founded a group called Breath and Poetry Collective. Okay. And we kind of blossomed the spoken word poetry scene here in Edmonton. Nice. And point of pride, 5 of the 11 poet laureates in the city came from this collective.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah. So using that artistic background and those elements of entertainment that I kind of nurtured over my years, and my wife's education as a social worker and stuff like that, we've crafted these programs to be
meshed
really
together.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so amazing.
It makes it really fun and engaging.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So you're on this, entrepreneur path. Tell me about some challenges you faced. We've all, right?
Well, the first big challenge is self-doubt. Yeah. The imposter syndrome. Like I said, I have had success with music and with poetry, and there's always the matter of getting out of your own way. Yeah. For me, there was a heavy sense of responsibility. I have 3 children. And so you would take jobs ABC and try and make things work financially and kind of put everything else on the back burner. For myself, it was a lot of because I have this need to give back to the community, volunteering. So I would always volunteer. Most recently, I was with the Edmonton Federation of Community Leagues. So getting out of your own way and kind of knowing your own worth is one of the challenges. The second challenge would be navigating just the world of business. And making sure you understand. And that's why I say we haven't launched yet. And I don't want to rush the process because I want the fundamentals to be there. In my past, I've owned a record label that I kind of just jumped into because I rapped and we were having success. So I just set it up. But it didn't grow and blossom properly because we didn't have those fundamentals set up. I've owned a trucking business, which I sold.
Oh, wow.
As I tried to go into event management. And then COVID hit and took me out of that. So there's always the unpredictable nature of the world, I suppose. So the economy could take you out of it or off your path. Resilience, you got to be resilient because you're going to get knocked down. But the more you get up and the more you take lessons from your falls and your mistakes, the better off you will be, right? I guess, to put it simply. Challenges also as a Black man, seeing myself as a business owner.
Really?
Oh, completely.
Talk about that. I'm interested. Wow,
all right.
interesting.
So you grow up in Canada, second generation, right? And each culture seems to have their niche. And their place, you know, the Asians tend to become doctors and or whatever.
Filipino nurses,
right? Exactly.
Caregivers,
right. And you know, when you think, and maybe it's from how it's presented on TV because, like I said, I was born here, so I honestly thought Africa was a poor nation. Actually, I did too. My upbringing and everything that I seen growing up showed me that African as a country, and even that Africa is not a country. It's a continent, right? So it's rarely ever spoken to in its individual pieces unless there's a war going on in Sudan or something like that, right? So there was a lot of negative connotations with being Black. And those negative connotations also came with limits, right? So whether I was conscious of it or not, I perceived that I couldn't be a person who owned a business. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Right? So there's getting over that, right? And I don't know if this is if it's accurate to say, but I imagine it was similar for a lot of Indigenous people and cultures too here in Edmonton or in Canada, because they probably didn't see themselves in those places. And those barriers are being knocked down more and more. We're now in the position where there are great leaders. We had Obama in America, right, as a president. So now everybody who grew up in that generation can envision themselves as being president, right? But prior to that, I think about who are the leaders in the Black community. They tend to be actors and celebrities, right? They don't tend to be engineers, business moguls. They don't tend, so.
That's a good point. Yes, you're right.
Right? Yeah. So when you look around, you often limit yourself to what you see.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So when you don't see people excelling from your background in those spaces, you then often think that, okay, well, we're not supposed to be there. Right? So, so now having this opportunity, I think participating in the Anderson College program, as well as even like losing my job, like getting laid off, not my fault. I want to put that out there to the world. It was a result of the company I was with really feeling inspired or something to just expand. And they expanded so fast that like an elastic band, they snapped back and had to cut.
That's happening a lot lately, I've noticed.
Right. And it makes sense. I mean, if you're a business that's doing well and you see the opportunity to buy up a smaller business at a good price, you might think, hey, we're successful, we're managing, we can manage that, right? But hey, it is what it is. And I look at it now as a blessing in disguise.
I was going to say that.
I have a super positive attitude about it. There has been, like I said, I've always been volunteering on the side and working with groups on the side. Like, so it's nice now. And I was speaking with a gentleman, I was going to say his name, but I don't know if it's relevant, about this the other day. And I was saying, I really wish I could make a living doing what I do volunteering. Right. But the limits that were put on me was, okay, so for when I was with the Cariwest Festival, for example, I managed the whole square. I was responsible for bringing in all the amenities and all the stuff that was required on the square.
That's a lot of work.
All I have is a high school diploma, right?
What?
Yeah. So, right.
Amazing work you're doing, by the way.
Right. So to be able to be like an event coordinator and all these things, you think I got to go to school, I got to go to college and all these things. So,
oh my God.
So then I realized, okay, well now let me try and do this in real life.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I did need those diplomas to get the jobs. Okay. My experience wasn't enough credibility for me to get hired on to civic events, for example, with the city.
Really?
Yeah. Right. And now it's even harder because they have the all the screening like Indeed and all these job application services that look for certain words like diploma, degree, or whatever. Right. So those are some of the limitations and walls or barriers that you run into. And you think, okay, well, let me go back to school.
Yeah.
But like I said, I have 3 kids. So if I go back to school full time, how am I going to put food on the table?
Right.
Right. So yeah, it's just those kind of challenges, but volunteering and participating in these different and being placed in these different roles were like a blessing because it let me know that I am not limited to the boundaries that the corporate world had put on me. Yes.
Oh my God.
As long as I was willing to learn and apply myself, I can fill these roles. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And, I consider myself a resourceful individual. And, so it was really nice to challenge myself. And we talked earlier about self-doubt, to overcome that self-doubt that I had in myself. Or maybe I put it in myself. Maybe it was from my upbringing. I don't know and don't want to point fingers. It was there.
The environment, I would think.
Alleviated.
Yeah. That's good. Good. Actually, I want to, I'm glad you talked about, first of all, me finding out that you only have a high school diploma. So what? Yeah. There are so many people out there, successful people who don't even have a college degree and look at where they are. And I want to like smash that stereotype and that theory that you got to have the degree, you got to have the diploma. It's not that's what it's about.
100%.
Right. I am now, I've collaborated with Northwest College on a few things, and I was on a panel, and I talked about what was important in hiring people, and we talked about the soft skills. It wasn't the technical, but we were pounding like. Edmonton Police Services was there too, WCB was there, and then there was me, and we all agreed that the most important thing to hire an employee is their soft skills. Right. Are you a hard worker? Are you a good communicator? Yeah. Your work ethic. Those are more important because if you have that, essentially,
you can learn the rest.
Boom.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Right? Yeah. So what you had said totally resonated with me. And we got to put it out there, you guys, these corporations, like, stop it. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So kudos to you.
Thank you.
And you are a great person. You're very resourceful. You got great work ethic. And look at your resume of what you've done in the past. Amazing. So, I talk about the lessons we learn as entrepreneurs. And now that I see that you've been an entrepreneur like for quite a while now, like, wow, that's really amazing. And we all learn from those lessons, right? And what I've noticed in you is that you have the tenacity. You didn't stop. Some people, when they start their first small business and it fails, that's it. I'm done. You continue on because you know where your heart is. That's amazing.
It took time to learn
Yes.
that. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
for sure.
If I could be honest, like
Yeah.
I was still jumping from job to job
Right.
because of that heavy sense of responsibility.
Yeah.
You know, I want to provide a good life for my family,
Absolutely.
and the concern that you won't be able to do that if you step out on your own.
Right.
The other day, now I'm feeling like we're promoting Anderson College a lot here.
Yeah.
I can't praise them enough for what I've
Absolutely.
gone
Yeah.
through this experience recently. That it brought me to the revelations that it has for me in my life right now.
Yeah.
We sat down to do a affirmation assignment. They gave
nice.
us 10 minutes, and originally I wanted to reopen up my trucking business,
Yeah.
right? Which was small. I mean, I
Yeah.
only really had 2 or 3 trucks going.
Yeah.
But I was like, okay, well, let me do it right with a good foundation, proper education in how to run a business, right?
Okay.
And so that's where this course really came
Yeah.
in handy. And I'm sitting down at this assignment, and they say you have 10 minutes to do this in class. And I'm looking at it, and I'm blank. What was it? What did it say? It said, I am a successful blank because, and then you
Right.
list the legs that
Yeah.
make you a successful what you are. And I couldn't write truck driver. I couldn't write business owner. I didn't know what to write. I'm sitting there staring at this thing like,
Get out.
but it's because I think, and sorry, let me finish the story though.
Yeah.
And so in the morning, I said, let me finish this assignment. And I've always been one of these people that gets up at like 5 in the morning. And I actually recently learned about the 5 a.m. club book. But anyway, so I'm up and I'm sitting down to do the schoolwork. And I take this paper out. I'm like, let me challenge this thing again. And I'm sitting there trying to think about what I am, who I am. And I honestly came to tears.
Oh, this is giving me goosebumps.
I honestly started crying because I came to the realization that my ladder, if you're familiar with like the 7 Habits and David Covey, my ladder is against the wrong building, right? I'm trying to get success in the wrong areas of my life. My God. And my daughter comes down and she's like, "What's wrong?" And I'm like, "I'm sorry, babe. I didn't need to make so much noise and blah, blah." And she's like, "It's okay, Dad. It's okay." And she come and give me a big hug. And then my wife comes down and she's like, "Are you guys okay?" And she comes and sees what's going on. She gives us a hug. And, you know, at that moment, I encourage my daughter. I say, you know, don't let people limit you.
Yeah.
You know, be what you want to be in life. Don't let anyone tell you that you can't do something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So long as you put your heart in it and do your due diligence, then you will succeed.
Yeah.
And I said to her, your job at school right now is to learn how to be a learner.
Oh, awesome.
It's not how to do math. It's not how to, it's to learn how to learn.
Yeah.
How to teach yourself things so you can fill yourself with the skills you need to succeed. Because I didn't do that.
Yeah.
What I did was I jumped from one opportunity to the next. And and it was very limiting.
Yeah.
And now after reading this assignment and doing it, I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm a successful entertainer or public personality, but all these things fit better than I am a successful truck driver or what I mean?
Oh my God, that's
amazing.
amazing.
So it was a beautiful revelation.
Yeah.
We had a moment and my spirit has been lifted. And now I like my aura is just, it radiates differently, and I'm attracting a lot of good, positive people around me and positive energy.
Yeah.
And it's very rewarding.
Oh.
It's very rewarding.
Oh my God, I love it. I love it. I love it. Oh my gosh.
And since we are on Black History Month, and I want to encourage the youth who may catch this program to really like sit down and make a plan. Like, don't just say, I want to be something, but map out the steps it takes for you to get there.
Right.
And if one of those steps seems too much of a hurdle to go over, then find a workaround.
Yeah. Oh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like find a way around it.
Yeah.
I always tell my oldest son, he's 22 now.
Yeah.
I'm like, don't go work at Wendy's. Don't go work at Tim Hortons or McDonald's. Because if that's not where you see your life going, then you should go try and get an entry position
Yeah.
in a job or a career stream that you see your life going into.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, does that make sense?
Yeah, because that's kind of what I've done with my son. Him being a Sea Cadet since he was 12 or so,
Right.
and now he wants to be in the Navy. So
Right. And I hear he's an amazing engineer.
Oh yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
that's a great point.
Right. So, you know, and I learned that from my cousin, Arlo Maverick, who's like a hip hop mogul in the city here. And his first job was at HMV.
Oh, that's
Right. He wanted to do music. And now by working at HMV, he was able to learn how distribution works, release dates, and, you know, even point of sales and all that stuff. Right. So it just makes sense rather than saying, oh, I need a job, to say, oh, is there a job that I can get that will allow me to get my foot in the door for where I see myself going?
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah.
Wow.
Anyway, that would be my advice for...
Oh, my God. That is so incredible. Yeah. Well, this is a great conversation, by the way. But you know what? We have to conclude. And so before we conclude, I want to ask you a very important question.
Okay.
And that is, what matters to you?
What matters to me is family, community, and a sense of responsibility.
Okay.
And just the humanity of other people.
Oh.
You know, like we all have value.
Yeah.
We all, in our own way, have worth. And we walk around ignoring each other all the time. I honestly see people on the street and I say, good morning.
Good for you. I do too.
Just something that simple. You know what I mean? Or if I'm passing you, I'll say hi. You know, just
it changes their day for sure.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And it makes you feel better. I mean, the world feels unsafe because we are all putting ourselves in these silos and, you know, separating ourselves. Sorry, I was going to go on another rant about generations, but so family, the community, and just being decent human beings who put positivity into the world.
Oh my gosh.
In what is quickly becoming a dystopian world.
Right.
Right.
You were right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Bert. I am looking forward to your launch.
Me too.
And I want everyone to stay tuned. So, you know, we'll have your email ready in case anyone has any questions and want to know all about, these plans, this programming. And I'm very excited.
Definitely.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right.
Lida, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.